Rapid Fisherman's website, spread it into our sport specific templates. So we have a template for fishing guides, one for backpacking, that sort of thing. Spread all the information in there. And then, you know, get our content guys down there on the boat, take awesome pictures, make your stuff look good, launch it, and it's a new creative profile and manage your trip estimates for free, and then we only take a 10% commission on executing trips. So we only get paid when you get paid, so it's in our best interest to bring you more trips. No. So the plan is to, like I basically bootstrapped the development of the MVP and outsourced it to a local dev shop here in Austin. And so we'll launch that beta version like end of the month, May 31st. Hopefully book a few trips with friends and family and things like that. And hopefully raise money, build out an app, really kind of hammer out marketing and really invest in that side of things. And blow it out to go to that.
So with that like, website, I was thinking the same thing, like how to get traffic there. But I've seen these videos that are like, eat this, you know, ice cream burrito that has something made out of cotton candy. Yeah, just like free So those videos, I was talking to a friend who's actually brother and we were talking about those videos also in particular. Is there really I don't know how I was working on like bigger kind of videos that are actually going to be investments for
Do I need to have like local resumes?
So it's for this business.
And profiles and things for that.
So we're posting this on Facebook. We've got different businesses that have like pretty broad audiences. On posts they work on it. We raised like $10. Oh yeah, there's some like I'll show you this pretty soon. It's good. So on Instagram.
Diversified experiences, both the resume, they're going to want to be more focused and targeted based on
and this page has 500,000
this particular course is actually
$35. But
then they probably get so many hits because they keep it so, you know, it's like $35 for exposure, 500. You know, a lot more companies will be like, oh, we can get exposure for $35.
Well, you can do like that same thing on Twitter or Facebook. So you get someone else to like engage with it. So like on Twitter, you post yourself and you have a bunch of just it's that amount of engagement, so it like looks like a popular thing. They can buy Twitter ads, Facebook ads out of it. Just like this biscuit video, we're able to get people into the word product more sense. Because we try to do based on like a specific all of those like not just like which is like that's a good deal. Yeah. And like I think something's like I don't know if you really want to spend, you know, it seems too complicated.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it's got to be like 8 cents. So like, what kind of work? Contract work?
I own the website and the whole my project, right? Like there's a project trying to wait and then so then I went up to like hey, give me $200 and make a video. I'm just $200 getting people to come here. If you give me a quote for my how much do you do? It's all like burger biscuit, I heard
Yeah, mine was
We do watch parties.
There's definitely
Watch
for some reason, after I gave him my resume stuff, I never responded back. I'm like, I'm not sure yeah, so like,
I don't know where it's talking
I don't know.
I was just saying that like I'm here because I'm at a startup, and so I'm trying to learn how to people that are looking for jobs.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We're gonna get started in just a moment here. I think people should be filtered in by now. But first, I did just want to introduce a phenomenal person. This is Mel Stack. He'll be kind of presenting to you guys on a really, really important topic. So, everyone, get ready to soak up in your brains there's one great tool for you to increase your job search today, and that's your LinkedIn. Sometimes it's kind of a mystical topic, especially when it comes to a lot of jobs being found online nowadays, especially 2019. But Mel's thankfully been able to kind of demystify it. He's worked with us, Let's Eat Grandma, since 2018, when he came on board as our intern. So he was actually able to improve our social media game by at least 200%. And that's through outreach efforts. That's through kind of going online and figuring out, hey, what works in this space and what doesn't. So thankfully, through writing blogs with us, through kind of just learning, soaking up all this great info, he's actually been able to kind of take up our LinkedIn game too as well. And so Mel's currently our marketing analyst. He is a soon-to-be and/or recent UT grad. So everyone, please give Mel a warm welcome and be ready to learn something today.
Hey, Matt. So today we're going to be focusing on making a great first impression on LinkedIn. So Matt, he pretty much summed it up. So I'm an undergraduate student at UT Austin. I plan on graduating actually this coming weekend, which is exciting. So I'm in the liberal arts honors program at UT. I minor in business administration, and I also have a background in marketing. But more importantly, my role at Let's Eat Grandma, so I'm a marketing analyst. My specializations are in analytics. In addition to that, search engine optimization, personal branding, etc. And so, warm up. If we could, I would just like to, with all of our meetups, we always like to go around the room and just have everybody introduce themselves. If you could just say your name and the industry that you're in, or the industry that you're seeking to apply to.
My name's Jaron. I'm currently kind of doing like back office stuff for government agency. But my background is half like back office, half media production.
Okay, great. Thank you.
My name is Brenda Raven. I have a degree from State Network School of Business in Organizational Leadership and Change Management, and I'm looking in Austin, Texas.
So my name is Migo.
No. I figured you out.
Oh, cool. My name is Zachary Smith, and I'm looking to go into advertising.
Hey, I'm Nick McCabe. Just looking to make my resume better.
Okay, great. Maybe we can go over here and then work our way over.
My name is Farhan Kamal. I'm seeking either a music industry or a video game industry job.
Okay.
My name is Nathan, and I'm looking to go into biotech or healthcare.
Great, thanks.
My name is Daniel. Looking to go into software development as a business analyst.
My name is Jonathan, and I'm in the travel and leisure space.
Last but not least.
My name is Sanas, and I have a degree in public health, so I'm looking for a job in a healthcare field.
Okay, great. And so basically with all of our meetups, it was actually really happy for me to see what was going on. Everybody getting the opportunity to get to know each other. yes, we're trying to help everybody with their LinkedIn and very highly targeted resume concepts, but at the same time, we're also trying to build a larger community of job seekers. We've had people from every single industry. We've even had employers come through in certain respects. And so what we're trying to do in our long-term approach is we're also trying to build a larger community. And this picture that you can see, right, you can't really see the picture, so I'm just going to show you on my computer. This is a photo that was taken at one of our meetups, actually last summer, where we talked about a similar topic pertaining to LinkedIn. So you can see it a little better. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. The company story, Let's Eat Grandma. It's approximately 4.5 years old. We served over 1,000 clients so far. That's something that we really take pride in. In addition, as I mentioned before, we've helped clients across all industries, whether you're in sales, tech, entrepreneurship even. We've helped people across all industries to get jobs, regardless of your background. In addition to a superior product, we also pride ourselves on the best customer service in the industry. That's something that we really take pride in. We really don't like to treat our resume, or we really don't like to treat our customers or people who come to these meetups like a number. We always try to get to know everyone, learn about everybody's story. And so, the reason why you're here today, LinkedIn, 5 quick fix tips to improve your job search game. These are the 5 basic concepts that are the most important in terms of getting a job on LinkedIn. And so you might wonder, why this topic in particular? So 10 seconds. You can't really see it, but it says 10 seconds right here. This is the average amount of time that a LinkedIn recruiter or employer will look at your resume on LinkedIn, or your account per se. And the way we see it at Let's Eat Grandma is that 10-second window could be the difference between whether you get a message on LinkedIn, whether you get looked at, whether someone tries to connect with you on LinkedIn. It's a very critical window. And so, basically what we're going to be talking about, as I mentioned before, 5 quick tips to make that tipping scale go from a LinkedIn employer not looking at your profile to eventually hitting you up on LinkedIn. So, tip number 1, I figured we'd start with this just because it's one of the more, not necessarily obvious tips, but this is one of your must-have aspects. You need to have a great LinkedIn headshot. And so what we did is we took a picture of me. What I want us to do is I want us to talk about different elements of this photo. This is an example of a bad LinkedIn profile photo. And so if we could just talk to one or two of y'all, if we could get some feedback as to why you think this isn't the best LinkedIn profile photo.
Contrast between the background and the person.
That's right.
That's good.
You look sad.
Yeah. not the happiest of photos. Is there anything else that we can add? Oh, what I'll do is I plan on explaining everything else. Yeah, go ahead.
Your shirt, depending on where you want to look.
Yeah, that's true.
Jacket.
Less level of formality. Yeah. I promise this wasn't a mug shot, but yes, that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, he talks about the contrast with the lighting also in your face. It's a little bit dark, so it's tough to see.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. So, these are just a few that came to mind. It's relatively informal. I look pretty serious, like sad, I guess. Bad lighting with shadows. So, facial hair, this is a relatively gray area. I included facial hair. I figured if you do want to have facial hair, I know a lot of people have facial hair in certain capacities. I guess my main tip for that is just making sure it's well kept, which I'm sure won't be an issue. And it's also a little off-center, I'm not sure if you can tell. So, moving along, this is the LinkedIn photo that I use. And so, I wanted to see if we could talk about the differences between this photo and the photo that I just showed you. in terms of positive qualities that come to mind upon first glance?
It was very professional.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're smiling.
Yes, smiling's always a plus. It's well lit. Makes you seem more approachable. The lighting's very good. There isn't necessarily the contrast and the light as well that was mentioned before. But yeah, these were all things that came to mind as well. It's more formal than the previous photo. There's a smile, good lighting. I included a facial hair. I don't look very good with facial hair, so it's a very contextual thing. But those were a couple things that came to mind. So, number 2, writing a targeted headline. So, I'm sure we have a varied perspective on LinkedIn, but in case you're wondering, so the headline is it's the icon right underneath your name. So this right here is the icon, this is the example of a LinkedIn headline from my profile. 4th year undergraduate student at UT Austin, aspiring marketing professional, currently learning Spanish. Just a few main quick fix, quick pointed tips. So, the specifics. When you think about your LinkedIn headline, there are a couple things that you want to keep in mind. The first being, you want to think about who you're targeting. Who's the audience that you're trying to reach with your LinkedIn profile? This could vary across industries, whether you're in sales, tech, healthcare, marketing, regardless. Number 2, you want to make sure it's specific enough to capture the audience you're seeking, but at the same time, you want to be broad enough so that you don't alienate other companies that may be interested in you. So you want to cast a wide net, but not too wide, also not too small. And so, point number 3. So at Let's Eat Grammar, we use the keyword approach or the word cloud approach to this. This is something, for time's sake, that we can talk about a little bit after the presentation, but these are 2 highly targeted and specific approaches that Let's Eat Grammar uses for the LinkedIn headline, and we'd be happy to help you if you have any further questions on that. So, tip number 3, a strong LinkedIn summary. This is underneath the LinkedIn headline. It's right here, as you can see. It's basically an area where you can explain a little bit more about yourself that the headline doesn't necessarily convey. It's the more in-depth aspect of the LinkedIn profile itself. So the specifics. You want to be thorough about this. This is an opportunity to showcase your best self. This is an opportunity to maybe include points that aren't necessarily conveyed on your resume. For example, the Microsoft CEO on LinkedIn, he included a very long LinkedIn summary. Regardless of what industry you're in, this is an opportunity to really be thorough, to go in depth, to show people why you'll be a good fit. And so, in addition, this is an aspect that I actually didn't really know about until I came to Let's Eat Grandma. It's actually the more words you include, especially if you include targeted ATS algorithm words. These are basically buzzwords that Chris would be happy to talk about if you have any more questions about that. Basically what these ATS targeted keywords are in LinkedIn is it makes not only the people, the recruiters who are interested in looking for you, but it also makes the algorithm within LinkedIn a more favorable, it essentially helps your profile become a more favorable match. So if you think about it from the perspective of an Apple, Facebook, a very big Fortune 500 recruiter, your profile is going to come up at the top when they search for specific keywords. And so what we do at Let's Eat Grandma is we help you include those targeted keywords, but at the same time, not overusing them and making redundant comments. So, last but not least, number 3, you want to include a call to action. And so what I did, here's a quick example of a call to action. You basically say who you're talking, you want to talk about who you're targeting, and then this part right here at the bottom is especially important. The call to action, please send me an email or email me at chris@letseatgrandma.com. This was pulled from one of our blogs.
Yeah. I'll just cut it and interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
That one line by itself has gotten me several clients, like, because you just have to think about it this way. If somebody's interested enough to read all the way to the bottom of your summary, they're probably interested enough to actually contact you. So just to hammer in on that point, it's just really important to do that. So
And
that's a
in
good point.
further elaboration to your point, if people are wondering what the best way to get in touch with you is, if you basically provide a cheat sheet for the best way to get in touch, that's definitely a plus as well. Does anybody else need to take a photo or yeah?
I was going to take.
Yeah, of course. If you want, I'd be happy to take a closer photo if that's a bit far.
Or if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll see that. It's my summary. So
Oh, there we go. Chris Villanueva.
yeah.
Tip number 4. You want to incorporate an effective LinkedIn background image. So for me, I really love the city of Austin, so I'm a student. I have a background in marketing, but my LinkedIn profile is a little bit more open-ended. So I included this photo right here of the Austin skyline. So the specifics. You want to use a photo that adds a personal touch to your profile. Maybe if you're in healthcare, you can include a background that pertains to your industry. Or maybe you want to include a photo that pertains to your home city, or anything that may not necessarily be conveyed on your resume. It's all about creating that unique touch. And so, point number 2, you want to make sure that photo is catchy but not too catchy. At the end of the day, you want to make sure your photo is good enough to catch their attention, but not too good in the sense that it distracts whoever's looking at your profile away from the important information. And so, Pexels is a good website. If you really don't have an idea or a general direction in terms of what kind of photo you want to use for your LinkedIn background photo, we recommend you use Pexels. So last but not least, number of connections. This is extremely important. It's a bit obvious, but I wanted to talk about it just because of the highlighted benefits of having more connections. This is something that I'm personally working on. I don't have 500 connections yet. Once you hit the 500 mark, it'll say 500 plus, but that's generally a goal that we should all, as LinkedIn users, strive for. The reason being, it adds to your credibility as a user. It shows that you're active. It shows how well connected you are. It even indicates that maybe you're an influencer within your own industry. And basically that adds to the industry authority bullet point that I included. It makes you approachable to all kinds of users. Influencers, employers, anybody who may have a question, etc., etc. And so these are the five quick LinkedIn profile fixes. I realized, so LinkedIn, what we talked about today, it's kind of the tip of the iceberg. Number 1, improved profile picture. Number 2, optimized LinkedIn profile headline. Number 3, descriptive LinkedIn profile summary. Number 4, effective profile background image. Number 5, connections. Yes, these are all quick fixes that every LinkedIn profile needs, but given the constraints of our time, I figured these were the important must-have fixes for your LinkedIn profile. So what we do at Lizzie Groma is we dig underneath the iceberg, and what we do is we not only use this as the foundation to help our clients with their resumes and LinkedIn profiles, but we dig even deeper and we try to create a personalized experience through LinkedIn, because at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a very vastly complex social network that is up and coming, to be honest. I know a lot of people are on it, but if you can be ahead of the trend, if you can be ahead of the curve, and make sure your LinkedIn is as optimized as possible according to our tips, then that's going to place you at the top. And so, this is Jonathan Treptow. I figured Chris could help me explain a little bit more about this client. He was before our time, but he's one of our most successful clients. So,
yeah, I can talk about it. I was Jonathan's personal resume writer back in the day when I was writing resumes, but he was going through a lot of trouble. He was applying for positions within IT. The only issue is he had no IT experience under his belt, or just the experience he had wasn't for the positions he was applying for. the reason I like to tell the Jonathan story is not just to say, hey, we're an awesome resume service. I think we are, but he was also a really awesome inspirational story in himself. He applied for 1,000 different positions over the course of a year. That to me blows my mind because I don't know if I would have the patience to apply for 1,000 positions just to wait for the right one. I don't think a lot of us would, but he kept persisting and he had another job on the side. So the whole point of this is A, persistence, because he ended up applying over, I'd say, a 52-week period, and number 2, switching up his job search strategy. So we ended up writing him a very targeted resume that had the right keywords. And the funny part about this all was he applied for the same position that he applied for 4 months in the past, like the same exact position, and he got an interview for that. And they were like, once he finally got to the final round, they were like, why haven't we seen you before? Because he just didn't get noticed through the ATS software, which is the pesky robot that's filtering all of us out. So Jonathan actually ended up landing that job, which was for PwC. I think it was a network security analyst position. So making 4 times the amount of money that he was making previously. And see, what was that? He actually got a few other job offers, but he picked that one because that was his dream job. So whatever you're going through, I know a lot of you may be applying to a bunch of different positions and not hearing back. Like, if he can do it, then all of you can do it. And I firmly believe that. And I really want to make sure he's a guest on my podcast one day because it really is an inspiring story. So,
Definitely.
shout out.
Thank you for that, Chris. And so, at the end, we always like to engage in a Q&A session, talk about any specific questions that you might have for us. I figured we could move along and into that part of the presentation. If you guys have any questions for me or for Chris.
Do you think there's any negatives to having like a LinkedIn bot that auto adds people on LinkedIn?
So basically what you're asking is, it would be, are you asking if it's bad if you have a LinkedIn bot and just adds random people?
Yeah, do you think that's a bad idea?
In my personal opinion, I've always been someone who believes in quality over quantity. Yes, I mentioned that connections and having a lot of them is an important thing, but at the end of the day, I think it would be better to make more meaningful connections over having more connections, even if that means putting you over the 500 mark.
So you're saying there's a bot that you could...
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
You can pay like, $10 a month and it will like auto add like 250 or 249 users a day, which is the limit before LinkedIn says something. And then like in a couple of days you could have over 500.
Yeah, I didn't know that was for LinkedIn. I remember when I was trying to promote my music on SoundCloud or something like that, like 5 years ago, there was a bot for that. I didn't know that was that for LinkedIn. I would echo what Mel says though about quantity versus quality versus quantity, because the other issue with if you can get that bot to add people like who are in your industry, the same position, and they're going to help you out, then I would say that's a very smart technology, and I would go for it. But the issue with having connections that aren't quality connections is LinkedIn might start recommending jobs that are not necessarily targeted for the positions you're applying for. I personally ran into this problem because I come from a position of hospitality. So a lot of my connections are people who have been in like bartending, restaurants, things like that. So LinkedIn still to this day pushes me jobs within restaurants and hospitality. I'm like, no, I don't want that anymore. That's 5 years ago. So you just got to be careful because LinkedIn's algorithms are geared towards the connections you have. So.
Yes.
So my question is that I'm looking for a job in Austin right now, but I'm also open to move if I find anything in San Diego. So how can I add that in my LinkedIn so that like recruiters from San Diego area can contact me as well?
I figured that point in particular, I think that's something that you can include in your LinkedIn summary. Wouldn't you agree with that, Chris?
I agree, because also your cover letter, because cover letters where you showcase intent and like why you're doing what you're doing. I believe that the LinkedIn summary is a hybrid between your resume and a cover letter, because you can write in first person like we did in this example. So showcase that. You can also set your job seeker settings to specifically Austin, and specifically in your resume and your LinkedIn, I try to load up the keyword Austin so that way you can pick up in the algorithms and stuff. So that's a good question. A lot of people moving to Austin. So
That's a great question.
When employers, so I'm a recent college graduate, sometimes I'll like DM with someone on LinkedIn that's like at an agency that I want to work at, and they'll want to know exactly what I want to do. And then if I don't say exactly what they happen to know that they're going to be hiring for, then they write me off. So what's like a good answer to someone who's saying, what exactly do you want to do?
first of all, know what you want to do exactly. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Based on, but get specific. You might have to do some research into like the company and like their actual background of what positions they have available. Because if you don't know that information, you're going to have a hard time trying to get a match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are these positions posting actual job postings?
Well, sometimes I'll just know, oh, this company doesn't have any listings on their website, but I know that they hire like their friends sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'll like DM them and I'll be like, hey, my name's Zach, I'm a recent college graduate, looking to go in the marketing industry. I'd love to, grab coffee with you, chat with you, show you my work, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'll be like, what exactly do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then like they'll be like super specific. They'll be like, oh, I want to know that you want to be an editor for car ads, and that's it. Like, that's pretty specific. I want to only edit videos for car ads,
Yeah. Oof. That's a good question.
But I would be super happy with a non-editing for car ads video,
Because like what my first instinct is to be like, well, what do you need? Like, what types of jobs are you hiring for? But sometimes it's good to like know that already going into the interview. Like I had a buddy named Slade. I was giving him advice on this type of stuff, but he had leverage because he knew that the company was small and he knew what types of positions they were hiring for. So he was able to cater to that and say, hey, I can totally fit in this role that you have because I've had this background and stuff. But it's really hard if you don't have that information and don't know it. So I would try to do your research and see what you find out about the company and what they need. And if not, then that's why I always recommend going for the networking in-person route rather than just blindly looking at different job postings. So, but yeah, no, I agree. That's tough. It's hard to go through.
Is there like a time period where like a lot of the recruiter boss like search your LinkedIn profile like frequently?
I mean, that probably depends on the company and the industry that you're in. Just because I know, for example, consulting, they do a lot of their interviews in the fall rather than the spring. Is that something that?
Seasonality is like a big part of it. Depends on the industry. I know a lot of companies don't like to hire during the holidays. So I know because my resume sales shoot down big time during that because job postings stop being posted. January spikes up, gets really big. Same with February. I think October is also a big one. But I don't want to give you too much of a one-size-fits-all answer because for gaming, for instance, it might be different. One thing you can do, I know Indeed has like trends you can look up for when certain keywords are searched. So look through either LinkedIn trends, they may have data on that, and also I know Indeed has trends for keyword searches.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you had your 5 points, and then there's a lot of other stuff that can be on your profile. Like you can put past jobs. Also, people can endorse you for skills. You can put random certifications on there, and you can put your interest on there. Would you say that stuff is all pretty secondary compared to what we went over today?
I would say yes and no. So I think one thing that I've seen on LinkedIn is a lot of people are being endorsed for skills that aren't necessarily related to your industry. I think if your skills are very targeted and related to your industry, I think that's very important. Another thing you mentioned is certifications. I think that's very industry contextual. Like for example, if you're in real estate or if you're in finance, where you're looking for a particular finance job, I know with a lot of finance jobs, you need to take at least 4 or 5 different examinations before you're even considered. And so it really just depends on the industry. One thing I will say is that does go the extra mile is LinkedIn recommendations. I think if someone takes the time out of their day to write a lot of really nice things about you, things you did on the job, maybe they worked on a specific project with you and you contributed in this way. In particular, regarding things that we didn't necessarily cover today, I think LinkedIn recommendations are very important. So,
Yeah. I'll add on to that, but I believe that compared to your resume, I think LinkedIn bigger is better. And that's because, like, imagine if you came to me with like a 3 or 4 page resume, I wouldn't throw it in the trash, but I would probably skip most of that stuff, to be honest. LinkedIn, I think it's a little bit different because each section is expandable and you're not going to turn someone off just because you have so much information on it. So I think what Mel covered is actually the most important stuff. I do think what you're talking about is secondary, but I would also try to see what you can flesh out with that. So what volunteer experiences do you have? Who are your influencers? Check that off. What's another one? What languages do you speak? What volunteer experience? So all that stuff is secondary, but the more you flesh that out, the more you're going to show commonalities between other LinkedIn people.
but the good thing about LinkedIn is it allows you more creative freedom rather than a resume. I think
True, that's true. Yeah.
with the LinkedIn profile, it allows you more creative freedom to include a lot of those secondary things that you talked about versus on a resume where your space may not be used as effectively. Just because LinkedIn recruiters, or not necessarily LinkedIn recruiters, but recruiters who look at an actual resume, they're only glancing at your resume for a certain number of seconds. So it's kind of up to you to decide what do you want them to be looking at, what do you want them to be focusing their time on during that limited window.
Did you guys have LinkedIn Premium? Used it? Okay, so I'll have to explain this. So LinkedIn Premium is awesome. For job seekers, I think it's awesome, but also for recruiters. To give you an idea of what they do on their perspective is they have little checkboxes for every little thing you can imagine on your profile, every little thing. So like how many years of experience do they have within business analytics? What's their college degree? Are they involved in volunteer experience? So all these things are things they can check off in that really advanced search feature. So that's another reason to believe that the more, the better. So I've had it, and I think it works really well.
So what do you do if your career has not been a straight line and you have worked in many different industries?
Sure. So
Should you put that on there?
I think one particular thing to emphasize in particular is what I would do is I would take out 2 pieces of paper and try and see if you can find some commonalities between both of those industries. For example, transferable skills. I think that's something that you can emphasize on in particular. Yes, although I did this, and this in X industry, the skills that I learned, and you can mention skills, helped me, or they will help me in this industry.
Yeah.
You can use that
in the letter. Where do you put that in the
That's more, in my opinion, maybe in a cover letter.
Okay.
What do you think?
yeah, and I want to speak to this because like I went through the same thing. I think you and the majority of other job seekers have not had a straight path line, so that's totally okay. In my case, I came from restaurants and I transitioned to resume writing and being in this space. So, isn't that random?
Yeah.
Right? We all agree that's random. However, what I was able to find is you were talking about transferable skills. So in my case, a transferable skill was customer service because I really want to make sure customer service is integrated in this company in every way possible.
But you would put that in a cover letter?
So I would put that in a cover letter, yes, but also the LinkedIn summary, which is also similar.
Okay.
Actually, I did put that in my LinkedIn summary.
Because
talking
you
about my
just mentioned that you still get, because of the search boxes, you still get
Yes.
suggestions for restaurants.
I do, yeah.
Right.
But I did put in my LinkedIn summary and underneath, even I think my hospitality experience, I did show why that's transferable to this.
And you
So
would you go like all the way, or are you
you
like
should
a
go all the way.
10-year max person?
most recruiters are going to pay attention to the last few positions you've had rather than way past. So put most of your time and effort into those last 10 years.
But should I put everything on there or not?
I would recommend, yes.
This has been a big
Yeah.
dispute.
Because you never know, because these LinkedIn algorithms might pick up on, it even picked up my really old stuff, so I might either erase it completely or make it transferable. I'm talking about like 10 years past, so yeah, that's a good question.
So he was talking about having skills that are like super like specific to your industry, but sometimes I'll look at a job listing that's on LinkedIn, and one of them will say, oh, we want someone who knows Adobe, and another one will say Adobe Creative Cloud, and another one will say Adobe Creative Suite, and I have Adobe Creative Cloud on mine, and that's the only time that it ever says that skill match. Should I just have like a massive list of skills that are like every possible variation, or do I need to have it really specific?
Answer first.
That's a good question. I would say, honestly, I think I should take this one. I don't want to mislead.
I would say if they're all relevant to places you're applying for, yes. I'd say more is better, just because you'll be able to pick up on those keyword searches. If you had to pick one, obviously pick the one that's most searched.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you another example of something. So for instance, sometimes they make duplicate entries in LinkedIn for the companies. So they'll have, say I work for Indeed, and there's like 2 or 3 different random Indeeds on the company. Like pick the one that has the most connections to more people, the one that has the most traction online, because that's what's being searched the most. So I would almost apply the same principle to the different Adobe hard skills that you're trying to cover. Yes, hit all of them if they're all relevant though.
Okay.
That'll help you out. Any other spin-off questions to that? I think that was actually a really good question.
I have a question. So what would be like the best way to approach someone, like DM, direct messaging someone in your industry? Like how would you approach the recruiter or an
Okay.
employer?
Listen to my 30th podcast on how to do just that. To answer, because I that's something that I always try to learn. So I asked the same question to this career coach expert on that podcast, and his answer, like he can explain it way better than I can, but I'll try to put it in his words. So you want to be as specific as possible. So you're talking about cold reach outs, right?
Yeah.
Just random cold reach outs. Okay. Short. Don't write too long. Don't write a whole novel. People aren't going to read. They're not going to have the time of day to read your novel. So a few really short paragraphs. And when you go in for the ask, make sure it's a very low ask. So don't say, are there any interviews or people you might know that could hook me up with a position? Like really what the best strategy is, you're going in for advice, you're seeing if they might be able to point you in the right direction, and you'll find that people are pretty nice. So low ask and specific as possible. Just get specific. Don't say I want to pick your brain. Don't say just go for a cup of coffee. Say pick your brain, go for a cup of coffee because you want to learn about X, Y, and Z. So what's an example of something you really want to learn and get better at within gaming?
Maybe like just coding.
Coding?
Like general, like specific coding, like coding like audio stuff inside of you.
Okay, so you might go in that conversation saying, I'm really trying to break into gaming, and specifically I want to learn more about coding within gaming. And yeah,
I was just going to add on, I know that I don't know too much about the computer science industry, but I know that there are different programming languages. Maybe you find someone on LinkedIn who's really good at programming with Python, or I'm not sure which programming languages they use in gaming, but that might be an area of interest to look into as well.
And I don't know the people in your industry, I don't know how nice they are, but let me just guess, like say you do reach out to like 100 people, you might get like 50% of the people reaching out back if you're going in cold. I think that's, Matt, the guy who I interviewed, said he was able to get like 80 or 90% positive responses. Like, that's crazy. What are you writing? In my experience and what I've seen, I think you'll probably be able to get about 50. But if you go in not cold, if you go in warm, so say for instance you go attend a gaming conference here in Austin, I'm sure they have them, and you make eye contact with this person, you're shaking hands, you're meeting them, like I promise you your response rate's gonna go up so much higher. So I recommend that for everyone here, no matter what industry you're in. So,
Do you have any like particular tips or like strategies as parents for like media uploads or like kind of attachments or everything like that? It's like LinkedIn for me, particularly with my production background, is really awesome because like no other site really gives me like the opportunity to like, okay, here's actually a video or something or photos of this thing of this event that I shot or took part of or anything like that. But in like a non-media context, it's like, or there like, is there like anything, if you have like a financial background, it's like, is there anything that you would suggest in terms of like, what could you show off there as like evidence of what you've done that you think would be effective in a LinkedIn context?
what types of positions you're applying for to get to context?
I mean, I'm asking this in generally for myself personally. I've been, aside from like the media stuff, I've also been like looking at like data and financial analyst stuff. Because I spent like most of this decade working at a consulting firm doing that sort of analysis.
Yeah. LinkedIn's okay. I like LinkedIn because it's social media oriented and more, a lot of people are going to see it. If you're a really creative person, then I do recommend having like a separate website for all of your portfolio. If you're creative, I absolutely recommend having a personal website. My biggest tip, I mean, because LinkedIn's okay, I have a couple of videos uploaded on my job description, but I really recommend being active on your newsfeed. So posting something. This helps in the job search. This will help you as a professional, but try to post something like once or twice a week that's yours. People will pick up on that. People might notice it. It makes you look badass. So.
But I guess the thing that I'm really trying to think out is because like in media industries, it's super easy for me to create something, upload it as an example and show it. It's like a non-media stuff. It seems like a real hard nut to crack. Like
what's non-media? For instance?
Like I said, I spend a lot of time doing data financial analysis. It seems a lot harder to me to kind of figure out what to kind of show off. To kind of show. Here's an example of like, my skill set there. It's like, but it kind of seems like that's something that they kind of that there's a room for in the tool set. It's like, I know you can upload PowerPoint and everything, which I really didn't. I put that went into. But I'm trying to kind of think out what's a good use of that feature for something if you're not just looking at strict. I'm trying to show off. This video or these photos or something like that.
Does anyone else have any ideas for him? I have my thoughts. So you have to get a little bit creative in terms of, because you can't, like, if you're an artist or graphic artist, all you do is you obviously upload your designs and stuff like that.
Right.
But data analysis, I agree, it's a more hard and concrete stuff. So maybe, I'm a content marketing guy, so bear with me, like maybe write a little blog or article on like 3 best tip practices on how to conduct accurate data analysis, or find another article that talks about data analysis, news trends. I think people like reading stuff like that too. You engage with other people in the industry. See what else. If you can write the content yourself, I think it's a lot more impressive. But blog posts and things like that, you can't like share your own personal data unless it's like okay.
That's the other thing that was like the other huge thing for me specifically is that particular job was like medicating schools, which is like HIPAA potential HIPAA violation something, right? One piece of advice, I took this advice myself. You guys heard of Gary Vee, the content guy? One thing he likes to talk about is just you're producing content out there, you're just pushing it out there for the world to see. Don't hesitate. He recommends instead of like writing these
like, I'm the guru in my field, like, these are the best practice tips. Like, what he recommends is just like documenting your journey, like just almost talking about what your experience is, like talking about what your job search has been like, talking about what your role has been inside the eyes of data science and things like that. So I think once you can do that, you're just putting yourself out there in the world, other people are gonna see that, and you'll attract the right people eventually. So he says, he once again puts that in better words than I can ever do, but that's what he recommends. So, yeah.
So you would recommend writing, I was gonna ask that, if the writing of articles is worth it on LinkedIn.
I think it's worth it. I don't write articles like right on LinkedIn. I probably should, but I write blogs and I post those blogs on LinkedIn.
Okay, because it sometimes, I mean, honestly, it kind of bothers me when I'm reading somebody's article that I feel that they wrote just for the purpose of getting their name on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I also think that's okay though. Like
It's okay, all right.
they're putting themselves out there. I don't think, unless it's a really bad article, I don't think they're gonna harm.
Well, it seems to me like it's just recycling stuff that you can read everywhere else.
Yeah, originality does help a lot. Creativity, humor, things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
I'm good for that.
It's one of
I like
those things.
humor.
Anyone can.
Well, that shows your personality, right?
Yeah, I haven't made too many jokes today. I'm sorry, guys.
It's not too late.
Not too late. So, no, but I do recommend that. The more creative you are, the better. That's one thing that we both do marketing for a company. And that's one thing we've learned gets attention in a positive way, gets engagement.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so I figured before we conclude, we really enjoy your feedback. So found on the tables over here, we have a couple flyers that ask for your feedback in terms of how useful do you find this presentation, any additional comments, and then we also have a section right here if there's any particular event that you would like us to talk about in the future. We would appreciate your vote on that.
So,
as
for
well.
your favorite event? Yeah.
And so what I can do is we have some piece of paper right here. If you can just read this some feedback for us, we'd really appreciate that. And then when you're done, you can just raise your hand. I'll come grab it.
Did you say you have a personal website?
Yeah, I have like an online course already.
Yeah, okay, so you can link from LinkedIn profile to.
I can link it from my LinkedIn profile, but be kind of keen about LinkedIn versus a lot of other places. Like on LinkedIn, there's a lot of professions, like my photography, my videography. I can just upload that stuff on
Okay.
And so most of the stuff that's on my profile already, I kind of already have uploaded in my summary, or if there's something very specific
Okay.
to a job I worked, you can upload something under that particular job post.
Okay.
And you can upload examples of that. So I don't believe.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you guys.
It was a wonderful presentation.
Yeah.
I put it out there, but I like that, you know, it was like very
In the
succinct.
way that.
You didn't put, it's like you just told us what was useful and didn't try and like draw it out by putting a bunch of fluff in there.
Yeah.
Everything felt really relevant and that was nice.
Well, we really appreciate that. I mean, I figured this presentation in particular, we want to give you the main points, and then I figured with the Q&A session, and then also potentially talking to us at a later time about the opportunity to talk about.
Yeah, more specific.
Yeah, more specific. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Of course, yeah. It was good meeting you, Mel. Yeah.
Thank you so much guys for coming. Thank you.
How often do you guys, is this once a month? Okay. Cool.
I do have a question.
Yeah, so we're located within South of
Right on.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
So
Awesome.
I've been working.
Cool, yeah. I'll see you guys around.
So I work in marketing with them. So, thank you.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
I know that there are actually a lot of augmented reality related companies.
No, I updated my resume, so
Good.
it's
My name
not
sounds really
fit.
familiar, but I can't say that.
Yeah.
Because
are we friends and
Cause he,
connected on LinkedIn?
reached out to me today and said.
Yeah, I think we are connected, but I'll check that.
Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you.
But I was, but then,
Oh,
after like,
yeah.
I gave him my resume, and you see, he wanted to do a phone call with me, so I gave him my info, but then after that, I didn't know reply, so I didn't follow up, and I still didn't know reply, so I was
So
wondering.
now
Do you know
send.
by any chance, like?
Stop it.
I can't say I do. The person who invited is Chris.
Okay.
Because Chris has been here at Capital Fashion for the past.
Perfect. Got
I've been here
you.
for at least 2 weeks.
Nice.
So,
Fantastic.
yeah, that's
That's
actually,
actually a
I'm
headshot
sure
because
Chris
I
will know the
like
answer.
it.
So-
Oh, nice. Let me see. Oh, that was the photographer? Oh, cool.
We've done over 1,000
I'm glad she
clients.
helped you out.
There are a lot of
I love
commonalities.
pictures, so that's why
Yeah.
I
I mean, that's happened to
That's
me.
great. Yeah.
Oh,
You
what's
think-
happened to
you
you?
think
Yeah,
connections
you
of
never
this,
have,
like,
never have.
like profile,
What
like
do you do now?
Yes,
For some reason.
Let's start.
From a personal perspective, I wouldn't take it personally.
Yeah.
It's just because people are always so busy doing a variety of things. But hey man, I would try this one more
Because
time.
that's always like.
Yes, I would try one more time.
Because
Right.
of important
Oh, yeah.
kind of to know your.
But hey man,
Right, you're in
that's
the job
the-
search, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'll do is
That's
I'll talk
that's
Chris
a
right
tough
now.
thing.
Okay.
I actually wrote a blog article called how to update your LinkedIn profile when you're already employed or something like that. But it's a concern for a
Thank you
lot
so
of
much.
people. They're afraid their boss is gonna look and be like, oh, she wants to leave.
You want to be guys.
Sometimes.
We have a very specific question
Yeah.
that I thought you could answer.
What is it? What is the question?
It's about following up.
Oh, so, I think there's a person named Nick Weldon. How much do you know of this?
Nick Weldon, what does he do? You know?
I think he works here. Basically, he wants to give me an internship as a tech ops in the Capital Factory this
Yeah.
summer. He wanted my like contact information resume to give me to the lead ops.
Okay.
But when we like talk about like phone call, interview, he didn't respond back. So I did follow up again, so he responded back.
Okay.
So I was wondering, my first question is, do you know him personally, or Nick Weldon?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I've never met Nick Weldon.
Okay.
So you sent him a message this point in time, and then he didn't respond. How long between the first message and the second message?
I did.
A day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I waited for like, that's the last time I was talking to him, and then, at first, like he contacted me, and then I replied a day later.
Okay.
And then, after I replied, it was like, I want to say 5 days later,
Okay.
I followed up saying like, you still want to, do a video
Yeah.
or do an interview, and then since that 5 days, and after the 5 days I followed up, I think 4 days, and just today,
Yeah.
I still never responded. So I was
Yeah.
wondering,
I'm more of a fan. This is a rule of thumb. It depends on the situation, but I think 5 days may be a little bit too short to the first message and the second. That's because people are really busy sometimes. I might say 7 days.
Oh, 7 days,
I think
okay.
7's a good time in the future.
Okay.
But dude, sometimes people get really busy. Trust me.
Right.
People have responded to me after they promised me the world. They're like, hey man,
Yeah.
let's hook up and I'll give you a huge account. I'm
Right.
gonna get it out the door. So I'm excited. But then they ghost you.
Yeah.
So that's on them. Sometimes people are busy, sometimes people are inefficient. Whatever I would recommend is following up is good. Maybe following up that third time, wait another week.
Okay.
But if they don't respond, you can forget about it. Move
Okay.
on to the next best thing. There are other good opportunities out there.
What's
So,
now?
No,
don't get
don't worry about
I'm
it.
the same way. Like you don't want to get fixated on like
I appreciate
the
that.
situation
Yeah.
that frustrates you.
You sure? I do this very often.
No, just don't worry about it. I insist.
okay.
I hope
Yeah, you'll get it,
we
man.
learned a thing or two today.
Yeah.
I have another question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're good.
I have a friend
Do
who
you know,
played with
Pizza,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
I
Yes.
have a friend who I played soccer with who plays on their youth team.
Oh, wow, that's.
So,
And he
That's
switched
pretty
to
cool.
still on the same topic. But
No, I'm not.
I heard like you guys
But
about
yeah,
internships.
I try to follow the Dutch rate. Like
it's a pretty well.
That's awesome. I'm sure they're very well. I talked with another one.
Yeah, and they also,
On who kind of
they
topics?
also supply a lot of the.
For tech ops.
It's not sticky, right?
For the internships?
Yeah.
But we decided, you know, if you follow it, you know, we decided to see serious return.
I don't know this internships. I would,
Sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't know, I'm waiting.
dude, I don't know who this hiring. What I
A
might
lot of really good.
do is actually contact, like, just talk to anyone who's in the
Yeah.
campus factory, because they know everyone, and ask them, like, who's in charge of it. Once you find out that name, I might get that contact information, which is pretty easy.
No, that's great.
Yeah, if you find out, you don't have their email address, I don't give it to you.
I just have a
Contact
team shop for fans, so I was trying to figure this out.
But I don't know.
I was
if
going
you-
out that, I know you're probably not, so anyone going out that IX and.
I mean, it's okay with me, I like Ajax, I would actually.
The name of the podcast?
Career Warrior Podcast.
The one in Atlantis or
Yeah,
kind of one
dude, you're gonna like it.
like
It's gonna help out that stuff.
Mario.
So,
How do you feel about
yeah.
I think Pace was pretty good. But it's like, that's like a side, the big divide is between Ajax and Fire.
Thanks for
Yeah,
doing
but it seems like they're always up there, for the top spot.
That's what it is.
We'll have to think of
Yeah.
that.
It's always interesting to get a little perspective.
Yeah.
So I think you can really like that.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Playing soccer.
I really enjoyed the Dutch pancakes.
Figure out,
Oh,
figure out ways to
Thank
be
you.
better.
I actually, I have a fight with my son about this every time because the Dutch pancakes are
Yeah.
Like he wants to go
American
like,
pancakes are thick.
Really thick and fluffy,
And I
yeah.
finally got him to
Is what?
accept that.
Like, he's self-self.
It's
Like,
That's a whole other thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was
But
telling
he
him,
still
I
insists on
like,
making
my
them
kids
thick.
bring me to
I prefer slavery. I really like cheese pieces as my egg.
He was like, dude, you're not saying any of the stuff that you actually.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
French way. Yeah, like the French way.